three men have been formally charged with the murder of 5-year-old Ditebogo Phalane Jr., who was shot outside his Soshanguve home during an attempted hijacking. They appeared in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today. The suspects were arrested last week on various charges, including robbery with aggravated circumstances and possession of illegal firearms. Let's take you live to our reporter, Nqobile Madlala, who joins us from the court in Pretoria. Nqobile, tell us about what unfolded. Any details of the arrest that were announced in court today?
Well, at this point, Michelle, we have been told that all three men face the charge of murder as well as robbery with aggravated circumstances. And of course, each individual faces various charges on their own. But at this point, we know that all three of them face that one charge. But of course, in court, besides the people that were standing there, which would be attorneys and so on, there was the family that had to see these men for the first time. So for them, they were saying it was quite a difficult time to actually see these people for the first time, to understand who they were. You will remember that last week when we attended one of the men, one of the three accused case, that the media was not allowed in because there was still going to be a parade that was still going to take place, an identity parade, and we understand that now that has taken place. And of course, some of them, or rather the father, had to be part of that identity parade. So it was very difficult for them to see these men for the first time, and they've just explained just how difficult it is to also think about the fact that the funeral was not so long ago. And even though they get a little bit of comfort with the understanding that they are now before court, it's still very much difficult. They're saying they're very distraught. That's of course through the spokesperson of the family, who's also a family member, and he has explained just how difficult it has been and how they continue to remember the little one, saying that even though this process is taking place, it will never return their loved one back to them, but they are trusting that law will take its course. But let's listen in.
The whole family gets a bit of comfort from seeing progress in the case, and I must say that it definitely does feel much better than not knowing anything and not hearing anything. And the investigating officer, the office of the minister, Commissioner has been updating us with all the details about the case. Some of them is very sensitive information that we cannot share. However, they've been very proactive. They don't have to wait for us to call them. But yeah, the police have done their job. So I guess in this case, we just have to also put our faith in the NPA as well, that they will fight tooth and nail to make sure that they prosecute.
It's cold comfort for the family, isn't it, Nqobile, to have these people appear in court and to have these three men formally charged with their little boy's murder. What happens next insofar as the next court appearance is concerned?
Well, Michelle, the case has been now postponed to the 27th of August. We understand that the state has asked for a lengthy time to be able to go through all the investigations. At this point, there's an outstanding statements that they've spoken about, calling the 212, which needs to conclude. There's also a postmortem report that they're still waiting for. We understand that also the guns, because each individual also faces various charges. So one of the charges that are faced by individuals is the possession of prohibited firearm as well as ammunition. So some of those guns still has to go for ballistic, and as a result then they've asked for a longer date, saying that that usually takes a bit of time. So you will remember that in the previous talks with the Hawks, they have said that they would have to link the gun, of course, into what happened at that homestead when the hijacking took place and the killing of the child. And of course, so that still has to take place. So the state saying that the processes require time and they'll be waiting then for those to conclude. And so they were asking for a lengthy time. And at the same time, we understand from defense that all three men have abandoned bail for now. And they've said that they will, of course, allow for the IO to understand should they change their mind. But at this point, they remain in custody. Let's listen in.
Mr. Maeko, Mr. Sitolia, and Mr. Gumbe. state's application in this matter is for a further postponement for the purposes of investigations. There are several investigations that are outstanding. State informs the court that there is a Section 212 statement that's outstanding. That takes quite some time. The post-mortem report, the chain evidence in respect of the alleged murder, tracing of other suspects, and other witness statements.
The three accused men who appeared earlier today are linked to the murder of the 5-year-old boy from Soshanguve. The three men are facing a charge of murder and are also facing the charge of robbery with aggravating circumstances. And then accused number 3 is also facing a charge of being illegal in the country.
So, Michelle, as you can hear there then, so until those investigations are concluded, then they'll be able to go back to court on the 27th of August.
All right. Nqobile Madlala, thanks very much indeed for that update. Live to us there from the Pretoria North Magistrates Court in connection with the murder of 5-year-old Ditebogo Phalane Jr.